D, wait for it, light bulb.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds, and welcome to my week in review, where I come to you every Sunday with 3 entertainment stories that I personally find interesting, and then we discuss them down below. You can also read the articles that I found and read to do this episode in the description down below. And I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Mine was fine. It was pretty good. So, why don't we just jump right in and get started? So, for my first story is that Tim Miller did a big interview with The Hollywood Reporter. And he finally stepping forward with the disaster that is Terminator Dark Fate. And he said he's still processing. Yet the movie made $58 million domestically to date, and that's just so horrible. And $235 million worldwide, which is a huge loss and kind of put the final nail in the coffin for the franchise for quite some time. And this was supposed to be a stunning return to form, which it isn't now. Now, he and James Cameron have been playing the blame game back and forth. James Cameron's like, Tim Miller can't get along with anybody. We had a lot of fights in the editing room, and in this article, Tim Miller was like, James Cameron, I wanted the humans to be losing in the future, but Cameron had them winning, and we had lots of arguments over lines of dialogue, etc., etc. And in this article also said that the reason he left Deadpool was because Ryan Reynolds was clearly in control, and he didn't want to do that. He couldn't work that way as a director, and that sounds like damage control to me. And because nobody leaves a major sequel that early in their career, and it just seems ridiculous to me, especially since him and Ryan Reynolds worked so well together in that first film. I mean, why would you be like, I don't want to repeat this just doesn't make any sense. I don't want to repeat this. I think that the thing that Tim Miller needs to be concerned about in the most is that that it looks like he can't get along with anybody. Now, I think that James Cameron is infamous for being difficult, and Ryan Reynolds wants what he wants, and it's working out very well for both of them. And I think that Tim Miller is the one that has constant problems. Now, I don't know how Tim Miller is behind the scenes because I'm not privy to that information and everything. I'm just saying that the old saying is, if you're sitting around and everybody's an a-hole, maybe you're the a-hole. And that, I mean, that's not verbatim. I don't remember exactly how the saying goes, but it's something like, if you're sitting there saying everybody's an a-hole, then maybe everybody's not the a-hole, maybe you're the a-hole. It doesn't matter. Anyways. And that's to say that he can always, and so he said in this article that he can always go back to just doing his visual effects company, which is of course behind the movie Sonic. And I think that his biggest problem with the biggest problem with Tim Miller is just he's known for being such a fantastic action director, and there was just hardly any action in Terminator Dark Fate whatsoever. And I think that disappointed a lot of people. Now, I do think that Tim Miller is very talented, but he just didn't deliver on what he's best known for and what he said he would give us as the fan. Okay, so that's my second story. My first story. So for my second story, which I really like this story a lot, and I was a tiny bit disappointed when I read all the details. So there's a headline that they're doing the Oliver twist, but it's a more modern version, and it's going to star Michael Caine and Lena Headey in a gender-bending situation. And I'm a huge Lena Headey fan. Not only was she great in Game of Thrones, Cersei is one of my favorite characters in that show. But I really liked her in things like the Sarah Connor Chronicles and Dread, among others. I mean, she's just so great. But she's been around for a while, and she's very talented, and I'm so excited for her to get more opportunities. So I was curious to see if she would be Fagin, and Michael Caine would be the guy that adopts Oliver Twist, but no such luck. Michael Caine is playing Fagin, and I think that Lena Headey will be playing Bill Sykes, and he's the homicidal business partner, and to Fagin. And now this is an iconic role, and Tim Curry played the role in the famous movie version. And most recently, Tom Hardy played the Bill Sykes role. And now this is very exciting, and this is not so much a theatrical release, but it is a day and date digital release, which means they don't have any faith in it. But I'm very happy that people are getting wonderful opportunities, and it sounds good, and I think that it's a good example of gender bending at its best. And I think that Lena Headey will do well if she is playing the Bill Sykes the character, because I think that she's proven able to play a bad guy in the past, and very good bad guy at that. If you haven't seen the movie Dread, I suggest going to watch it. It's an excellent film, and she is an excellent bad guy in that movie. I mean, it's really, really good. I can't say enough good things about it. And I think that this is one of the more interesting post Game of Thrones opportunities that we've seen of any of those actors able to land. And so good for her. Good for Lena Headey. Okay, and so that's my second story of the day. And this is for my final story of the day. I couldn't believe it, but Elizabeth Banks already has another project. Now, after Charlie's Angels was such a colossal failure, which she owned up to, which I respect her for that, because she did tweet about how if you put your name all over a movie, you better be ready to take the heat when it fails. And I'm paraphrasing that tweet. I can't remember exactly what it says, but that's pretty much what it said. And I give her credit for that. She made a movie. It failed. She's like, she put her name all over it. Writer, actress, director. I can't remember what the fourth thing was. And a producer. And it bombed big time. But like I said, I give her credit for that. And I haven't seen Charlie's Angels yet, but I have read good things about it, the movie. But that doesn't mean that people wanted to see it. And I think that that also, because of that, Universal is probably getting her on the cheap, because Elizabeth Banks really knows how to sell herself. I mean, if you look at The Hunger Games, for instance, she wanted to be in that movie. She's like, hey, I'm really great for Effie Trinket. You should put me in this movie. And they did. She got herself a job, and she really sold herself, and good for her. She knows how to really put herself out there. Now, oddly enough, she's teaming up with the writer from The Girl on the Train, which was also a failure, but yeah, she's back, and she's back with a really big project. Now, she will direct and star in The Invisible Woman. That's right. They're going to gender bend the Invisible Man into The Invisible Woman. Now, I don't like her starring in as much, as even though I do enjoy her work, but I think she has such a distinct tone that I personally do not want in the Universal's Monsters movies, and that makes it makes me a little bit nervous as far as that goes. Now, this is in connection with the Monsters universe, and it also calls into question what's going on with Lee Whannell's Invisible Man movie. Now, I have to think that nobody's really interested in it because of the trailer, and I think that it's more like Hollow Man and not Invisible Man, and so therefore I'm curious as to see if they're just going to try to push that movie out and just be all like, okay, everybody forget about this and let's move on to The Invisible Woman. Now, again, I do like the idea of making a woman, and it's very interesting to me, and I would like to see how it works out, and but however, I don't really like Elizabeth Banks starring in the movie. I would prefer her just directing. I don't think that she's a bad director or a bad actress. For a matter of fact, I just think that she, in this case, I think that she just would be better directing than acting. I just think that she's I mean, are they going for a comedic Invisible Woman, or and how did she sell herself out? I just think that she would just be better directing it than starring in it. And also, can she do something that's so atmospheric? I mean, there's just a lot of questions. They also said in the article for this that Universal is circling around a movie from Paul Feig called the Dark Army, and it looks like they want the most offensive and controversial directors that they can find, and that have upset a lot of fandoms because they're probably just going to get them for cheap, and that's what they're going for. But let's see how all this turns out. I mean, it could turn out to be fantastic. So tell me, how do you guys feel about these 3 stories? How do you feel about Tim Miller and his thoughts on Terminator Dark Fate and how he's still processing? How do you feel about the new modern take on Oliver Twist and the gender bending, probably of the Sykes character? And then how do you feel about Elizabeth Banks being Invisible Woman and directing and starring in that movie? And will you go see it and all that stuff? Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys next Sunday on my week in review. You guys have a good week. Bye. Hey nerds, if you like this video, go ahead and click that Geek What icon and subscribe. And if you like this video, go ahead and join me every Sunday with my week in review.